Hi, I'm Anna Denton-Jones of Refreshing Law, and for Knowledge November 2018 we are looking at investigations in the disciplinary context. One of the things that I quite often do when I'm acting for an individual, when maybe they've raised a grievance and there's an investigation into their complaints, or indeed when they are under investigation in a disciplinary context, is to actually ask the employer for a copy of the terms of reference that have been put in place for that investigation. Looking for a number of different things there. Number one will be who is commissioning that investigation. Is it coming from the board of directors, for example, trustees of a charity or a particular department head? And what boundaries have been set on that investigation? So, for example, if somebody's a shareholder, a director and an employee, it may be sensible to be saying that anything that is to do with their shareholding remains outside of the frame of reference of the investigation. Or perhaps there might be governance issues that cross over with what's being talked about in terms of a disciplinary investigation that might be sensibly kept separate from the contents of the particular investigation. Obviously, we'd want to make sure that the particular concerns that have been raised in a grievance or the particular allegations that are to be investigated as part of a disciplinary process have been framed in a sensible manner, and that all the relevant issues have been covered off there. I'd also be looking whether or not it's somebody internal or somebody external that's been appointed, that they've really been given the power to investigate sufficiently, that they can approach all the relevant witnesses, and that they've been given the facilities that they need to do the job. So access to computer records or emails and appropriate documentation. Obviously, if they're an external person coming in, they might need access to things like photocopiers and maybe even a note taker, that sort of arrangement. And looking at what timescale they've been set to do the investigation in. Obviously, we don't want something to drag on for too long, but we want to give the person a chance to do a proper job and to do things thoroughly. And making sure really that the person who is doing the investigation has been given sufficient power to be independent of influence really from those who are commissioning the report, to go off and potentially, if they find things that are a little bit difficult for everybody to read, to still have the ability to say what they've uncovered and to deal with those issues. Certainly, if I'm acting for an individual, I will be asking for a copy of this terms of reference and making sure that these things have been thought through, rather than somebody ad hoc appointing somebody who perhaps doesn't really know what they're doing in terms of doing the investigation. So it's worth making sure you do have something in place, whether that person is internal or external, to set out how the investigation is going to work. Obviously, if you're bringing somebody in who is external, then one of the things we need to be very careful about and think about is data protection, because we will be sharing potentially quite a lot of personal data, and possibly sensitive personal data, or special categories of data as it's rebranded under the GDPR, with somebody who is processing that data. So we want to make sure that anybody that we do appoint from outside is going to put appropriate technological and security measures around any data that we're sharing, and that we've governed, how they are going to look after that data and make sure they give it back to us at the end of the relationship, for example. So I would expect there to perhaps be a schedule to a terms of reference document setting out the data protection rules of engagement, if you like, around the particular project. So that's something that you will need to bear in mind as well. If you do have any questions, or if you'd like assistance with the terms of reference document, then please do get in touch, adenton@refreshinglawltd.co.uk. Thank you very much.